Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Nathan Ross Rees Reformer Podcast. Today we're in Salt Lake City with the powerful, the epic Sebastien Lagree. Thank you so much for coming out and making the time today.
Of course, man. My pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you for making the flight here.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, so, I mean, you're a busy man. You've got a lot happening. I've been really diving into your journey a lot lately about how you started. And one thing I found fascinating is your approach has been very much results focused.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the background in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You know, so in bodybuilding, you try a routine, and after a couple of weeks, you don't see any difference in size and strength. Then you adjust right away. So when you lift weight and you bodybuild, you constantly have to look for new sequences. You have to become like a mini scientist, right? Yeah. And try things. So very much result focused, yeah.
So you're doing that through observation. You're doing that through like getting feedback, asking questions. I like that you have that background in bodybuilding because it's basically finding ways to stimulate adaptation in the body. And then, from my understanding, when you were first introduced to Pilates, you're learning the method, but in the background, you're thinking, well, how could I use this apparatus to get the results?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I always tell licensees when they want to hire people to be careful. The Pilates instructors, some Pilates instructors, can pivot because they can learn a new method, but usually most will only teach Pilates. And same thing happened to me. I was being taught. I learned Pilates, but still in the background, I'm still approaching the reformer like a big giant dumbbell. So how can I use that? So I'm still kind of thinking about it as a resistance training equipment and not as a Pilates apparatus.
Yeah, that's right. So when you first started, one thing I was so excited about was you talking about how you developed your method over time. So you started off by making a deal with Ivan, is that right?
That's correct,
yep.
Yeah.
So you could use...
You know Ivan?
Not personally, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you made a deal with him that he would allow you to use the space for personal training if you would teach Pilates classes to his clients for him.
Yeah. It's funny because it all happened very quickly. I remember I made the decision to become a personal trainer. I'd been in LA for maybe like 20 days, 25 days, and my goal was just like, I was so arrogant, man. I came to LA and think, within 30 days, I'm going to get a $20 million deal. No problem, It's just like, of course,
Yeah.
And nothing works out that way. But everywhere I went, people kept asking me if I was a personal trainer, and back then I was like, in great shape, and my answer was always no. I'm here for the audition. I'm here for the acting, whatever. And after 20 days, I'm like, fuck this, man. I need to make some money. So I said, the next person who asks me if I'm a personal trainer, I'll say yes. And then I'll look for a gym. And then sure enough, a couple of days later, some dude approached me and said, hey, you're in great shape. Are you a personal trainer? Yes, I am. So I had to look for places. And I landed in that one spot on Melrose Avenue called Angel City Gym. It's not there anymore. And I remember it was like a Wednesday afternoon. And then the owner looks at me and is like, I'll make a deal with you, man. He's just like, I'll let you, usually you need a certificate, a personal trainer certificate. I didn't have one. I've never trained anyone professionally. And he's like, I'll let you teach at my studio without a personal training certificate, but you need to teach my clients Pilates. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, so he shows me the equipment downstairs. I mean, I've never seen this in my life before. I've seen every kind of fitness machines before. I've never seen a reformer or a chair, a Cadillac. It's a whole new terminology. Plus the machines are made out of wood. I'm like, I don't work out on wooden machines. I'm a metal guy. I fucking drop the weight. What are you talking about? And I say yes, and Ivan tells me, okay, come back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Your first client's at 5. They were like, what? I was like, I didn't sleep that night. I was like, what are you talking about? Like that soon? Like tomorrow? Yeah. So show up the next day. He showed me the sequence from 2 to 4 p.m. on the reformer, using the Cadillac, using the chair, the large barrel, and then 5 o'clock I had my first client.
Talk about immersion, straight in the deep end.
I know, it's just like, boom, exactly, yeah. It's just like, no lube, all the way, boom, that's it. It's just like, great. It's like, and then it was like this every day. I met with him every day for probably a month or so until it started kind of sinking a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, that was like really like the fast learning, this like fully immersed.
Yeah.
Training.
So he would mentor you directly before the private sessions,
Yeah.
and then you just implement what you learned.
Yeah,
That's
exactly,
a pretty good way to learn.
Honestly, for me, it's the best way to do it because if you give me a manual, I'm not going to read it. I love writing my method, but I hate reading anyone else's work. I probably read 5 books in my entire life.
Yep.
I'm a terrible student, can't read. I'm also dyslexic. So for me, I that's why, when you guys send me an email, like today, this one person sent me literally like fucking 100 questions, okay? If you want me to respond to your email, don't send me this, okay? Because my eyes go like this. Now today, I just put it through ChatGPT and I just get the main points, stuff like that. Because when I read an email that is really long, many times I'll read the opposite meaning. I'll see a no when the no is not there. My brain kind of switches. The words kind of dance around on the page. So I'm more about feeling the message and then things like that. I'm very I have a photo memory that works really well for me, so I can remember things from design. But like reading shit, oh my god, I hate that. Yeah. so that approach with Ivan worked out really, really well. Where it's just like, okay, you do this sequence and then you teach that, and that was great, And then I did that for probably 2 or 3 months, and then he did an official training where I had to read things, and it made way more sense back then. But I'm more a hands-on guy than just like reading first and learning, memorizing, being tested, and then I apply it. I need to apply it right away.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, that's the same approach that I use for everything I do. All the digital platform that I have, all the machines, I learn best by when it's in the field. Yep. This is the best data for me.
I think that's the quickest way to learn, like learning by doing.
Yeah.
You get the feedback instantly, and then you can optimize.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and that's kind of how we do our teacher training as well. Now we actually spend a bit more time on teacher training because, the method has evolved a lot. But for me personally, that's what I like. Just push me in that water, make me swim, and okay, let's do your technique. All right, now we'll pull you out of the water. All right, this is how you fucking swim. Okay, this is like, oh, that makes more sense. I go like this. Okay, I'll try now again. So yeah.
Yeah, so you started off, and this is a one-on-one basic circuit training with the apparatus, Pilates apparatus.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep. And the cool thing of Ivan was not just a Pilates master, Marthagram dancer, and also a bodybuilder, a massage therapist. So Ivan had a very well-rounded understanding of human anatomy, movement, form, so just a great guy. And what I liked about Ivan the most is Ivan was really open-minded, because later on, as I started to get into the Pilates industry, I realized that Ivan's philosophy and Ivan's the way he was doing things was very out of the box. Mm-hmm. So yeah, love you, Ivan.
Thank you, Ivan, for all you've done.
Yes. I don't know, maybe the Pilates community is probably hating you right now, but I love you.
Respect, yeah. So, yeah, I find this so cool, because you're saying that's basically your first iteration of the Lagree method, but at the time you called it Pilates Plus because you weren't sure what it was going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people came to me and I actually didn't call it Pilates Plus. I remember that. So what I started to do this the teaching Pilates one-on-one. And after a couple of months, I could tell that the clientele was just not really kind of happy with the workout. I think that a lot of people did Pilates back in those days because they knew like so-and-so did it, so they wanted to do the same workout as their favorite celebrities. But the reality is they didn't really understand what the method was about. So they didn't think it was enough. So I went to Ivan and asked him, I said, listen, man, I think those clients you're giving me, I think they like the sessions, but I don't think they're going to renew. But if you allow me to tweak it a little bit, I can give them what they want, because essentially they want to sweat. They want to feel like they work out, okay? And in Pilates, you do work out, but it's not the same as when you lift weight and you cardio. People love that soreness the next day. They love to sweat, all that stuff. That's what was missing. So I started to basically use the Pilates equipment as essentially weightlifting equipment. And I started to do basically the exercise, because in those days, those women did not want to lift weight. Right, and I was huge too. I mean, I had big shoulders, biceps. They look at me, and so they were terrorized. They thought, okay, if I'm going to lift weight, I'm going to look like you, and I can't, because I was training, a lot of models and actresses who were on shows, and they had a wardrobe, so they couldn't, get big. And I said, don't worry. There's in bodybuilding, you have a building up phase and a cutting up phase. We'll do the the training techniques to cut up. You're going to look fantastic. I guarantee you're not going to get any weight, and or if you get any weight, you're going to be dense, but you're not going to get volume. And so I started to do that, and it took off like right away. I mean, like literally the next day, I started to get booked right away, and I got on TV, and then 3 months into it, I decided to do classes, group classes. So all of it happened very quickly. I arrived in LA, it was like June, and by September I'm doing these classes. And these classes, just take off. It's basically this kind of there's a bit of Pilates in there, and then a bit of basically like boot camp. And these women fucking loved it, and these classes took off. And I started to get invited to do these classes at Gold's Gym, at other gyms. Say, hey, I've never heard about your classes. Can you teach that? And it was, I think, at Gold's Gym, or it was like maybe another gym where the owners say, hey, you should come up for catch phrase for this. I'm like, well, I don't know, what do you call it? It's like, I think it's Pilates plus, man. I think that's a great word. I think Pilates plus is plus intensity, plus sweat, plus. I'm like, oh yeah, I like it. So called it Pilates plus. Not really thinking about it, because for me, I'm like, oh, this is temporary.
Yep.
A year from now, I'm booking a major movie deal. I just like, I'm not going to do this. So Pilates plus, great, let's do it.
That's amazing. It's amazing that you're being guided down this path. The whole time your intention was to try and make it in the movies, but every time an opportunity came up, you're kind of like, it was showing you the way. Yeah.
Nathan, the universe has been trying to show me the whole time, and I just keep like ignoring. And the universe like, you want this? I'm sure. What are you doing over there? It's like, and I keep passing this opportunity. I did that for a long time. I didn't take myself seriously until 2006. So for the first 8 years, because in 2006, I produced a pilot called Waistline, because now it's been 8 years I've been in the fitness industry, and I thought this was the most hypocritical industry in LA.
Wow.
Because you have all these fitness trainers, and some of them very well known that you've seen on TV, but when you know them personally, you realize, oh my God, these people are fucked up, and then they do drugs, all that stuff. It's totally not what I expected.
Okay.
Because like before I come to LA, I was fucking, man, I was just like, for me, I was like living a life of a bodybuilder, right? And I didn't really get that. There's like the behind the scene of the fitness industry, what you see with all the people doing this commercials and all these like, these infomercial things like that. There's a whole other industry behind it. And I thought it was just funny, and I just thought, oh shit, man, I should do a show on this. I saw a lot of potential. So I produced the pilot. I executive produced it. It was a lot of fun to do, but it went nowhere.
Okay.
So.
What was you're trying to share? So you're trying to share the hypocrisy of the image versus the reality?
Yes, yep. Absolutely. Well, because I think that there's a lot of people out there, they want to get in shape, and they look at their favorite trainers, and that trainer trying to uphold a certain image publicly, but so is he or she is projecting this lifestyle that they're not themselves following, and that's not cool.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Yeah. Be honest with the people. Like for me, I would never advise people on what to eat, because look at this right here. I don't even have a grasp on what I eat. Okay, I can't tell you to eat. My idea will be totally plant-based, but the reality, I'm pastry-based. Okay, that's the reality. Be fucking honest with people. And so it bothered me. It bothered me that people were not who they say they were. Yeah. And there are out there millions of people who don't know anything. They want to get educated. You have to give these people the right thing. Like bodybuilders, we know you're using steroids. Fucking just tell people the sequence you're using. So fuck it, man. It's just like, who cares? Yeah. Be honest with your fans. Be honest.
Yep.
That's why I love. Was it Penna, Rich Penna, or where's that bodybuilder that died? That was like fucking huge. It's just like I forgot his name. But he was fucking honest, man. I love the fact that he was just like totally honest with what he was doing, and I respect that. Be fucking honest. You've built up to a certain crescendo in your life, an apex, right? You're the top of the food chain. People are respecting you. The least you can do to the people who've kind of put you there is to be honest with people. What did you do to get there? What is your regime? And then if you're not totally, nobody expects you to be just like a nun and then just be completely just on this path. It's okay to be human, but I like to see that. Yeah. I like when I see people on social media being honest with the struggle, not always trying to project, this like perfect trajectory to the top, right? Because the trajectory to the top is never a straight one.
Never linear. Yeah.
It's never linear, exactly.
Yeah.
And I like people when they talk about this. When I do my podcasts and other things, I am always, even in the videos that I do, comparing my machines against my own machines, or I talk about the success of Lagree. I always talk about the struggle as well, because it's part of it. It's not like, kind of Hollywood is kind of just messed it up for a lot of people, because people think that they go to Hollywood and everything happens like in a movie, like it's in a montage and it's all good, right? No, motherfucker, it's not. It sucks. The whole process fucking sucks. If I knew back then what I know now, I don't know if I would have started to make my own equipment. Honestly, sometimes it's just like, wow, sometimes it's a bitch, And it's so, I think it's important. So anyway, so that show, Waistline, I wanted to make fun of those people, but in a good, genuine way, not to embarrass people, not to humiliate. But I thought, wow, this is funny that here you had this guy that people put on a pedestal, and in the back, fucking addicted to this, doing that, just, fucking shitty human beings, but on camera, you see this other person, people love him. It's just like, oh, this is crazy, man.
Wow.
So I just thought it was funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's like a real lack of authenticity, basically, in that community.
I love how you can read me, man. Great. We're going to be good together. Trust me. I talk in code, like I might have been like an Egyptian in a past life in talking with hieroglyphics. So when you listen to me, you need, like Nathan, you need to filter what I do. You need a Lagree decoder, so like that.
Maybe you can make that an app or something. Yeah. But yeah, I love that, because I'd imagine, with your personal connections, because from what I've seen so far, when you first started training people, you're getting access to like a whole different type of community most people wouldn't get access to, actresses, like movie stars, like that is not like the standard kind of like fitness group most people train. So I'd imagine what these people would have like higher expectations, that have like, they'd be more demanding. They want to be like perfection,
Yeah. I mean, it's there's a difference between doing a personal training in a small city, somewhere in the U.S. or somewhere outside, and then training people in a major city like LA or New York. Very quickly, your name gets around, and like for me, I started to train my first celebrity within probably a couple months. And you're like, oh my God, this person is just like you love them, you see them on TV, and here you are, training them. So LA and New York City, place like that, kind of fast forward the trajectory, and it's actually kind of scary how quickly someone with no experience, like I had no experience at teaching people, and it's kind of amazing how just a matter of 2 or 3 or 4 months you go right there at the top, in front of everyone else. You cut the line, So I don't know if it's a good thing, but yeah, that happens when you go to places like LA, and where are you in Australia? Are you in Sydney?
In Melbourne.
In Melbourne,
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is Melbourne also like this as well, or?
Melbourne's got scale, about 4 million people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so opportunities, yeah.
Yeah, so which is great, because it really helps you to achieve things. But things happen pretty quick in LA.
Yeah.
And also because LA is just it is such a cultural beauty and health and and longevity. So fitness is like on top. People take their fitness very seriously. So which is great if you're in that industry.
I feel like it's a real identity. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So when you're training someone like that, are you approaching them in the same way? You kind of discovering what they want, and then you're kind of like figuring out how to use the machine to kind of get that outcome. One other thing I liked about the way you're talking about it is you seem quite open in your approach to getting results. So you're thinking, well, rather than trying to force you to do a method and hope you get there, I'm going to redesign and re-engineer this thing to guarantee you get that result.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to teach the movements that your clients kind of associate with. There's sometimes people who don't like certain movements, but that movement, like a plank, for example. I love the plank, but some people don't like the plank. So there's other ways to train the abs, or there's other core stabilizer that you can do, for example. So you kind of try to, because I've always wanted to write a book called Effortless Fitness, because the routine should be effortless. Mm-hmm. The effort should be there, but it should be effortless to show up and then do the workout, because it is a consistency that's going to give you the results. Mm. So it's hard to be consistent when you just hate that fucking workout.
Yeah.
For me, I remember, when I was a kid, I loved to play video games. My mom just like, kept putting me into all these like swimming classes and tennis classes and horseback riding classes. And I just fucking hated it, But you know what? Maybe if there was like a Nintendo Wii back in the early 80s, then that would have been great. I could have just like probably get my fitness through that. And so what? What's just go with the flow. Go with what people like to do. This was for me when I developed when I continued to develop this machine and the method. I have to be teaching classes. That's why I like to do the events like the one I did in Paris, or I teach routinely because that's the only way for me to continue to discover what people like and don't like, because it changes. When I look at women working out today compared to 1998 when I first started, I've been at the gym, I've been working out since the late 1980s. And I would say at the gym, from 1980s to basically the early 2000s, you go to the gym and you'd see a few women working out weight, most of the women doing like cardio, and then would be like in the other room stretching, doing ballet. But now, man, I see women working out just fucking harder than guys. Yeah. It's great to see that. And I see now the men doing the stretch and the functional training and the core, because men finally understand that, hey, you can only push your muscle so far. You have muscles attached to your bones, you have connective tissues that you probably should care about, and your posture, and all that stuff. So the whole mentality is being changed the last 20 years, and it will change again in 20 years and 20 years after that, and it keeps changing every 15 years or so. So it's very important to keep your finger on the pulse, and the only way to do that is by interacting with the clientele, but not as a CEO and you give your stupid fucking questionnaire and your survey. You need to fucking teach. Yep. You need to fucking do the workout. You need to be with people in the trenches, and you talk, and that's the only way you learn. And that's why this whole method has been evolving over time. You can't do this sitting behind your desk and ordering people, I do a report on this. Fuck the reports. Be in the trenches with people. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm in the trenches. I'm in the warehouse talking to everyone. I have my pulse in all the business that I do. I talk to people, spend a lot of time, every day, talking to people and going. And I just love to just smell everything. I want to be completely aware of everything that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Your approach to me, it seems like you're going deeper than just thinking. You're kind of like going into like trying to feel exactly what's going to happen, because the way you're talking, then you're like getting in touch with how people feel about this. And so I think you said before that the way you see thinking versus feeling is, you say feeling is more like a multi-dimensional version of thinking, which is so profound. Like when I heard that, I was like, holy fuck, I never heard anyone say that before. That's really interesting. Could you explain exactly what you mean?
Yeah, like for example, like when you do like a movement, like in bodybuilding, like let's say you go to like do a bicep curl. So you go in and you sit down and you have the bicep curl, right? You put your elbows on the bench and then you do things and you really focus on the concentration. Oh my God, I haven't worked out in 8 months, guys. I'm looking at myself in the screen and fuck, I've lost so much shit. I've been really busy right now. I got to get back in there. Fuck that shit. But anyway, so that's easy. You can think about this, no problem. But the moment you start to add another primary mover, so let's say I'm going to lift my elbow up, so I'm going to get a little bit more of the shoulder, because when you want to work the biceps, you have to flex both from the elbow and from the shoulders, and you get that peak over here. But now let's say I'm going to curl the biceps, I'm going to flex my arm, I'm going to lift the elbows, and now I'm going to twist my wrist a little bit. And if you keep adding these little movements, additional movements, at one point you can't think about it. You have to feel the movement, and that's what I realized. The feeling is so much more evolved than thinking, because the whole idea of movement is to feel your body. I think it's very important. I think people don't think too much. They need to feel more. I think that's the next step in human evolution, is to stop thinking and feel. I think we can process so much more information when we trying to feel a situation, feel something, instead of just about thinking about it. Because thinking is from A to B. Thinking is very linear, it's very limited, but feeling is multidimensional that way. Maybe our purpose here on earth is to learn how to feel, be more loving and compassionate and empathetic, so I don't know. maybe, learning how to feel. That's definitely, I think, is for me the next step in human evolution. Stop thinking and just feel, Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like going down the path of trying to feel more, it's like integrating so much more information.
Yeah.
You're not limited by, because you can't hold all that information at once when you're thinking about it.
That's correct.
Yeah. So what is your vision, or what does that mean for you exactly when you're talking about, our purpose here being to feel? Like, do you have any kind of beliefs on what that means for us in this life, or maybe the next life, or is it a pathway? Is there any kind of, to me, you seem like you have a really kind of a deep approach to thinking about stuff like this.
Well, yeah, because for me, I don't look at fitness just as a way to get fit physically. I look at fitness as a way to get fit mentally, psychologically, intellectually, emotionally, and also spiritually. I think fitness is a path to spiritual enlightenment. And I really feel that, and that's kind of where I'm going with the method. By the way, I'm developing this method. There's like 5 stages in the completion of Lagree. So you have the foundation method. I'm now launching Lagree 2 and 3.0. Then you have 4.0, 5.0, and after that, 10 years from now, we switch to Lagree X, and Lagree X is going to be a whole new method. It'll be done blindfoldly. So this way feeling is very important. I already now, when I teach my group classes, sometimes my people closing their eyes and I make them feel more aware. It brings the awareness. It connects you to your body on a deeper level. When you close your eyes and you work out with your eyes closed, it makes you way more aware of what you're doing. And all of this is to basically just really align your mind, body, and your spirit. And I really believe that what I want to do with this fitness level is really to allow humanity to level up, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, because I think that's what the world needs. I think that with all this technology and then all this AI and all this stuff, going on around the world right now, and there's a lot of fear and there's just a lot of uncertainty. And I think that, I would love for people to just rise above this, and then just gain confidence that everything is going to be okay, and that people basically help people to have more faith in themselves. Stop, putting so much power into, in other people out there. Stop to think, oh, this guy is going to save the world, and that guy is going to save the world, and this government's going to do this. Fuck that. I want people to be empowered on their own. Stop waiting for things to happen to you. Make it happen to yourself. And if enough people do that, this whole world is going to change. We have too many followers right now. Yeah. We need more people who are sure of themselves, and they're going to go out there in the world and then create their own path, whatever that is. So for me, there's a huge spiritual component to fitness, and that is the maybe it's because now I'm middle aged, and who God knows where I'm gonna fucking go, but when I'm gonna go. But it's just like I'm really more aware. I'm more interested about how fitness can be used to boost you mentally, how it can improve your confidence to the point where you just like you want better things for you and the people you love, and but more importantly, how fitness can make you a better person. I mean, I would really like, I would really love to leave this earth knowing that I made a positive impact on humanity, and I really allowed more people to be just better people, to people have more integrity, people who are more honest, with themselves, all this is with yourself, right? And people who take more action for themselves and do the right things for them, instead of just like doing things because they're told to do this, or they believe that this is going to happen or this outcome is going to happen, and just to stop all of that. I think fitness is definitely a path toward that. I look at a lot of bodybuilders. A lot of bodybuilders have been very successful, and what you realize is all the training techniques that you use to get this body are the same training techniques that you're going to use to get a better to design a better life, to have a better job, a better relationship, and so on, right? Because what's the secret in bodybuilding? Well, you need to have a plan, right? Because you need to assess the plan, right? Well, if I have a business plan or if I have a plan in life, that's going to be the same thing. You need to show up, right? That's the hardest part, is just to show up. Once you're there, it's half the battle, right? And then, you do your workout, then you assess, and then you have to be consistent and you have to be disciplined. Consistency, discipline, are the same skills that it takes if you want to build a business, whatever business you want to do or whatever you want to do in life. And you realize that all of the training techniques that you do, are applicable to life. That's what I want Lagree X to be about. Using movements to really connect for mental benefit, to boost your mind, to boost your confidence, to boost the faith in yourself, and to really go out there and claim your own life, instead of trying to live what society is telling you to fucking live, fuck that, So especially when you look at society today, what would you like anyone in society tell you how to live your life? Right now we're fucking retrograding, or we're like on the decline, so it's time to just reset, and then create your own rules for success, but I think fitness does that. When I have someone, for example, do runner's lunge for 5 minutes, that 5 minutes is a metaphor for life, because when you do runner's lunge, after 8-10 seconds, the cramps and the soreness is coming in, okay, and you got 4 minutes and 50 seconds left. And you realize at one point, it's not physiological, it's not muscular, that it's your willpower, it's your willingness to go through this exercise, to do it super slow, to keep that form, to keep the breathing, and to stay in the movement. At any time you can quit. And you see a lot of people quitting, but there's always like a few people, and it's not always the fittest people. Sometimes you see people doing these amazing movements for a long, long time, very difficult, and they're not the fittest person, but in there, man, it's the mind. And that also what makes the difference between an athlete and a regular person, okay? Athletes, I don't think have like a superhuman or have like genetics that other people don't have. It's just they don't quit here. They have that Navy SEAL mentality. I mean, imagine it. Everyone around you in this world had that Navy SEAL mentality. Whew, I can't even imagine what the world would look like. And so you do this runner's lunge, you do this exercise for 3, 4, 5, sometimes people doing a movement for 10 fucking minutes, and you survive that, and you take that out there in the real world. This boosts your fucking confidence for everything. And now when struggles come at you and you take the punches and you stand back up and you just don't fucking quit. You don't quit on your dream like you didn't quit on that runner's lunge. So for me, that's what it signifies. And I want people to make that connection between movement and life, So because to me, I think there's so many more application to movement than just like, okay, losing fat and building muscle, which is the way that I looked at movement. I actually looked at exercise for maybe like that for 30 years, right? And then only recently, I would say in the last 10 years, I started to realize, wait a minute, there's so much more to movement than just, burning calories, And so I'm really interested in learning a lot more about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's so cool, because what you're saying is like how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So like if you commit to like seeing something through, as if like for example the runner's lunge, then your like willingness and strength of spirit to take on the next challenge is like enhanced. And you're just kind of building it like step by step, like
absolutely
expanding your capacity to deal with adversity,
Yeah. These small wins that you have at the gym, like I'm sure like the first time you curl 50 pounds and your bicep, oh my God, this excitement and this fulfillment that you have, you're going to take this in your work, in your with your relationship, your kids. You have no idea, but this is not going to be just at the gym. That excitement, all of a sudden you feel like you're standing taller and you feel stronger. And you're right. If your muscles are getting stronger, your mind's getting stronger. You feel like, hey, I can do this. I can. That's the most wonderful things about lifting weight. It's how it literally affects every other areas of your life. You become a better person. So that muscular strength becomes a spiritual strength somehow. It's very interesting for me. I'd love to learn a lot more about how the body just associate this, and then create a whole protocol around it. I think that started literally 10 years ago. This started in 2016, because in 2016, here's what happened, guys. So in 2016, I had a new machine that came out called the Supra. And the Supra, because my wife at the time wanted to open a gym, and I said, listen, I'm going to have you work on this new machine that I'm developing, because for me, that was the future of fitness. So it was like a megaformer, and it would lift on the up on the back end, just like a treadmill, you can rise it up and down. So the megaformer, would lift up on the back end, with the exception that you could also tilt it to the right and left like an airplane. And So when I prototype this, I'm like, oh man, this is like fucking cool, right? So I wanted to see what was going to happen to the muscular stimulation. So I invited a friend of mine, and he came with his whole team, I think from USC, and then we started to put sensors on the body, and then we measured some insane stimulation, right? So some of the exercise, you had over 200% of muscular stimulation, which I don't understand how you can get 200%, of the muscle. If it's 100% is the maximum. But anyway, we had some exercise. We'd have 217% stimulation. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck, I'd love to know what happens in the brain as well.
Yeah.
When you start to work out. So I invited another doctor, and then she just does a similar study, and we have like all the helmet, and we have she's got like 32 whatever sensors on the brain, and we measure the brain waves. And then we did a very small study. It was like 16 people at the time. And what was very interesting is that she told me that every participant after the class, they all felt an overwhelming feeling of positivity. They all felt happier after the workout. Mm-hmm. And I was just not expecting this at all. I wasn't thinking about, for intensity and sweat, all that stuff, and thinking about fitness thing, not something like, oh yeah, these people felt happier after the workout. So it completely shifted my whole perception on fitness. And then I asked the doctor, I was like, well, based on what you're studying over here, and based on the result, do you think I could do a workout to make people feel happy? It's like, well, yeah, that's what the study points out to. It's certainly based on the study that we've done, based on this initial research. Yeah, I say that you could probably design a workout to make people happier. And I say, well, what about a workout for depression and then frustration? What about for anger? And what about a workout for Alzheimer? What about a workout for dementia, people with Parkinson? What about someone who's suffering from schizophrenia? Could you actually create a workout? So my mind was spinning super fast. And pretty much it's like, yeah, if you can make someone, happy, you could probably do a protocol. There could be a fitness protocol. So I started to really shift, because at the time I was doing a documentary on fitness. And I know gene editing is just around the horizon. I'm actually trying to book my first gene editing session in Honduras, but these motherfuckers are not returning my phone call. I want to go there because of this, and I'm fucking lazy. I want to go in Honduras. There's 2 clinics, and they use, I think, CRISP technology, and you go there, and then they do a shot in the shoulder, and then it literally just turn off or turn on certain genes, and then boom, you start to lose weight and gain muscle, because now this is how your genes are programmed, right? I'm so fucking lazy, I shouldn't tell you that, right? But anyway, so that is the future. So I already was aware about this, back in the early 2000s, that gene editing is going to be the future of humanity. Right now, some people can design their own babies, but very soon you will have access to gene editing for recreational purposes. And gene editing is going to have no end. I can't imagine where it's going to be 50 years from now, and it will. It's inevitable. So, med spa, everybody will go, it's going to go beyond stem cells. Imagine you don't need stem cells anymore, because you could stop aging with reprogramming your genes, right? So I was very interested to see how is that technology going to affect my business, because it's 2013. I'm doing very well financially. I love what I'm doing. Literally, I cannot ask for a better job. Like today, if you ask me if I want to do a movie, it's like, no, I don't want to do a fucking movie. I love what I'm doing. This is actually, I was meant to do this. This is exactly who I was meant to be, right? So now we have this gene editing technology coming in. I'm just like, how is that going to affect things? Because I know, listen, I'm in the fitness industry, and I'm going to tell you, if I could get gene editing to lose weight, I'd fucking do it. Okay, I wouldn't get liposuction, because I think it's terrible for you, but I would definitely, have my own body lose the fat on its own. Absolutely. So how many out there of you would do that? Probably not out of 10 people. Because it is my experience in fitness that out of 100 people, 10 people are going to do fitness regardless. They're going to work out. They love it. And I'm one of those guys, okay? But I'm also a bit lazy on the side, but mostly I'm a guy. You could tell me that fitness is going to cause cancer. I'm still going to fucking do it. You could tell me that the fitness is going to make me more dumb. It's going to make my dick small, all that stuff. I'm still working out because I love moving, okay? But the other 90 people, they have to be convinced to working out. So these 90 other people are, doing already, get liposuction. They'll take liposuction and Ozempic before working out, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
So now when you have something that is literally bulletproof. Gene editing. You don't have to go to a doctor. Your own body is turning on, turning off the genes, and now you're losing the weight naturally. You don't have to do any fucking thing. It's happening on its own. How is that going to impact fitness? And it's at that moment, and I was doing a documentary on the future of fitness, which sucks. Okay, I'm doing a second documentary right now, which is going to be great because now I'm further along, right? But that first documentary, you should watch it because it's so terrible. I don't know where it's anymore. I think it was on Amazon. But anyway, so I'm really interested in finding out the technology that are going to be detrimental to my business. And then that's when I realized, when I did a study about the Soup product, listen, fitness is going to evolve, and it's already transitioning. Since I did this documentary, I see fitness transitioning to wellness. A lot of places now include fitness in med spa and things like that. A lot of my licensees actually have the Megaformer or whatever machines, and then they have all kinds of therapies. And it's getting a lot of popularity. And people are start to now looking for fitness for wellness purposes, not just for bodybuilding or building muscle, losing fat, for wellness. And it's already happening. And what I realized that the future of fitness is about it's going to be about it's going to be emotional. It's going to be for emotional purposes, psychological purposes. It's going to be for intellectual purposes. Some people are going to work out because now we know that actually exercise can actually boost neuron activities. Exercise can actually create more neurons and increase. It works with neurogenesis and neuroplasticity. So we're going to understand better about which type of exercise movements, again, are more conducive for neuroplasticity or neurogenesis, right? This is already under the way. A lot of people are going to do for the social aspect because, people don't go clubbing anymore that much, whatever. They'll go to the gym. The gym will become the new nightclub. So that's where people are going to meet, right? Some people are going to do for mental benefit because the world is changing so fast. People feel frustrated. So they will take it to the gym, right? Boxing, for example. I mean, if you're fucking angry, man, punch that fucking bag, man. You're going to feel amazing after that, I feel that, boxing is great for that. If you need to solve a problem, I think a long hike is a great way to problem solve. I've always problem solved doing long hikes. So people are going to start to use fitness for different application. It's not going to be just because, oh man, I want to look fucking sexy on Instagram. We're still going to have that crowd, but the majority of people are going to use fitness for the results. And that's where fitness is evolving. And that's why I decided, oh my God, I'm going to pivot as well. And I'm evolving as well. So now for me, I'm interested into the mental, emotional, and the spiritual benefit of fitness because there is actually, when I work out, this is the only time actually where I really project myself in the future and I manifest things. And probably one of the best example is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because when you read his book, so the first book, like I said, I didn't read many books, but one that I read from cover to cover was Arnold's The Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. And right at the end of that book, it talks about visualization technique. That's a hard word for me to say. And so it talks about, when he was bodybuilding in Austria, that he would imagine his biceps like, Austrian mountains. And you kind of look at his biceps and fucking A.
They're pretty close.
Pretty close to it, right? And then it talked about when he moved to Hollywood and, and he's just working out and he's thinking about just his next step, his next move. He's not thinking about doing an abdominal crunch that he's doing. He's thinking about what he's doing next in life. And I've always done that. Whether I go hiking, I lift weight, I do cardio, whatever, I'm always projecting myself in the future. But now I do it specifically for that. I align my heart, I get this coherence in the heart and the brain, and the heart-brain coherence, something I'm studying right now. And you feel a tingling in your body, man. You feel like your body is almost weightless. And sometimes you feel emotional. You can cry sometimes when you do the workout. It's just crazy. And that is what I want to help other people to do through fitness, right? It's just that connection that you get. So for me, I'm already doing this for manifesting, for attracting things in my life. And it fucking works. What can I tell you? I don't know how, but it just does. So fitness is transitioning right now to wellness and to whatever else. And it's fucking cool, man. It's great to see all this application like that. It's just from moving, just moving itself, So yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. I kind of feel like you're turning your body into like a compass because like you're getting in tune with what you feel.
Absolutely. That is so important, you know. Yeah, you don't have to meditate under a tree. I think that the best thing to do is actually to meditate while you work out, you know, actualize and move, you know, with that. And the music also is a big element to that. But yeah, I liked what you're saying about turning your body into a compass. Absolutely. Because when you think about it and then you're out there doing things. So for this to work, though, you can't just be getting on a treadmill, you know, on the Versa Climber and think about how successful you're going to be. You also have to take step, right? So it's just like you can't just be working out and imagining you'll be rich or famous or whatever. You have to actualize it, you know.
Take action.
You know, take action, yeah. So it's the action and the manifesting. You take the action and you reinforce the action with what you want, you know, mentally, visualize where you're going to go. And it works.
Yeah.
Somehow it fucking works. Yeah. You know.
How did you get to trust that internal voice? Because I know a lot of people, they might hear, oh, you know, you should do this, you should book that flight, you should, you know, set this up. But then they can either just like push it off into the future at some point. But to actually like hear that and be like, action.
Honestly, it's been only the last 2 years. I've always meditated at a young age, like 13, 14. I would meditate. I'm an introvert, right? And it's dyslexic. So for me, meditation comes very easy. That's why bodybuilding came to me very easily, because I bothered no one. I'd be in my own world. I put my headset on. I would just work out, and I just love that. I love to sit with my own thoughts. So I think a lot. I talk a lot to myself. So I didn't know that what I was doing was already that. I didn't have a word for it. I just called it meditating, you know. But now that I've been studying this, I'm doing a new documentary on the mental, emotional, spiritual benefits of fitness. And now, you know, a few months ago, I was interviewing Dr. Deborah Rosman, who co-founded the Heart-Brain Coherence. So this is something they found out in the early 1990s. They were looking at, I think it was when women are pregnant, the ultrasound. There you go. And they found out that there was not all the heartbeats were the same, and there was a variability. And then so they literally started a whole study on heart rate variability, and then coined the heart-brain coherence. So I'm learning a lot about this. And so now that I have actually scientific words, and there's actually people who've been studying this thing for a long time. And just basically now I'm like, oh, this is actually a real phenomenon. There's actually real things. I'm trusting it.
Yeah.
I'm just living my life on a whole different level now, because I don't even question things.
Yeah.
I don't look at things. I don't look at number. I just go by feeling. And this last couple of years, it's been just an incredible journey, you know, and I'm just completely in trust with what is happening next. I just know I got it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just letting it happen. And every month things keep happening and more, and things just snowballing. It's just been just crazy, man. Just crazy, you know, and it's just beautiful. I don't try to understand it. I just let it happen, you know, and I'm just riding it, and I just be grateful for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like you're on an odyssey.
Yeah.
You're on an adventure.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because you're kind of moving in a direction, but you can't see exactly where it's going to go. You can only see like the path directly in front of you.
That's right.
And that's all you need to see, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a conscious mind is actually it's limiting us, you know, and a conscious mind is constantly distracted. You drive out there, you listen to the radio, you got 1,000 messages, you know, the billboard, there's a lot of things you don't pay attention to, but your body keeps registering all that stuff. And so it's very noisy, it's very busy in the conscious mind. So, and then this conscious mind is when you also have the most stupid fucking ideas, and I don't know why it just happens. You have all these ideas that pop up, ideas that you can't do it, this is too good, something bad's gonna happen. It's just like, fuck, shut the fuck up, man. Honestly, shut the fuck up. Why you have these like bad thoughts?
Yeah.
Just suppress those thoughts. So it takes a lot of energy for me every single time I have this bad thought. Well, I wonder why. Shut the fuck up. With that bad thought, you know, I don't want to hear this right now. But on the subconscious level, this is where you are infinitely smart, and and you have to trust. And that's why I say the feeling of it, you know. It's very important, but that takes practice, man. I mean, literally, it takes so much practice to do this. I mean, I moved here to Utah. I'm doing like a whole setup at the house for the whole, like, basically what I call the pregame, and that's from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. where I'm doing all these like different things, different therapy. I just got my espresso hooked up. This big part of the deal, because when you wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, you want a strong fucking coffee. But I have this whole thing that I'll show in the documentary, my whole regimen to get ready before 6 a.m. I need a couple hours to myself, where I can just get ready, set my intentions for the day, because it's becoming more and more important to me. I'm actually looking for a place to build here in the desert in southern Utah, and I'm going to create a retreat, and that's my 10-year plan, and I will teach people how to do this. But that retreat will be for mind, body, and spirit, so it's going to have... it's going to be it's going to match all ancient wisdom, a lot of Eastern philosophy with the latest Western technology, and it's going to mix of the two because we live in an incredible time right now of realizing what we can do. There's all this technology. We know that that frequency therapy work and sound therapy, and it's amazing right now what's going on in the world. There's so many fucking smart people developing all these like ways to heal yourself and live longer and just be better, and all this nutrition. And we know so much today about how the body is made and how it connects to everything. And it's just like, wow, this is an incredible time to be alive right now. So I want to take advantage of all of this information, all the research, all the technology that so many people are working on, and I want to put it in one place, and let people just reset on the mental, on the physical, on the emotional, on the spiritual level, and just reset and then find out who they really are. What do you really want in life? What really makes you happy? What you really want? Don't tell me what you think you should want because of these other people in society. Fuck them. What do you want? Why are you afraid? Why don't you do more things for yourself? What holds you back? What are all these these anchors that we have? And so it's all about removing that stuff. So I'm really interested in that. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it seems like to get to that point, it's more about letting things go rather than taking more things on. It's like it's blocking you from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We don't realize this. I did ayahuasca a couple years ago.
Really?
Oh yeah, I went down to was it Peru or Ecuador? Fuck, I think it was Peru. Anyway, I went on the Peruvian side or the Ecuadorian side of the Amazon, because I've always wanted to do the ayahuasca.
Me too.
Yeah. I do all kinds of psychedelics because I'm very interested in that. Mushrooms. I've done LSD and things like that, ketamine. All that. Because I'm really interested in because we only see such a microscopic spectrum of reality. We only see 0.0035% of reality. Imagine that. All of this decision that we're making every day, it's not even based on the 1% of what we perceive. How can we make good decision when you don't even see 0.5% of what's real?
Yeah,
it's crazy. So I do psychedelics to help me to open myself up and then try to really understand this world that we're living in, right? So I went and did ayahuasca. I went there. I did like 3 sessions over 2 weeks. But before we did the ayahuasca, I did something called San Pedro. And then San Pedro is they consider San Pedro the male plant and ayahuasca the female plant. So they say you have to balance out the two. And so, so I was going to say that. So the ayahuasca is very much what you say. It's a release, right? What you realize is you're supposed to vomit, and you vomit deep. You vomit trauma that is deep inside you, essentially. Because as we grow up, we all experience trauma. But since we don't really know what it is, what's trauma, whatever, a body, there's just like, okay, just wrap it up somewhere. And then we grow layers over it over time until the next trauma and so on. But we don't really know how to address it, right? And all this trauma accumulates over life. So, here you are 30, 40, 50. Sometimes you keep making stupid fucking decisions. Well, it could be this thing that happened to you earlier. So ayahuasca helps you to purge all of this stuff, right? It's a very unpleasant time. You feel sick. You feel like you have alcohol poisoning. There's nothing great about ayahuasca. It smells like shit. It tastes like shit. The whole experience is shit. But at the end, you purge. It's like you have an oil change for your soul. It's very good.
Wow.
But the thing that I like was the San Pedro. The San Pedro was that psychedelic experience that I was experiencing. When I did San Pedro, man, I had another release, but it was like an emotional release where I was just like crying for 5 hours. Really? But the things that I saw on San Pedro was like, wow, that was amazing. I saw people and temples made out of light. Like you were made out of light. You don't even consume food because you live on light. Light beings, everything was made out of light. And then two powerful messages from the universe, that light is the physical manifestation of love. Love is light, life is love. It's the same, right? And then that love, compassion, and empathy is the basically what we all need to thrive for, is that God frequency. This is what it is, very, very important. All of this stuff has kind of shaped me, and that's kind of how I want to move the method toward too, so that people are more loving and compassionate and empathetic toward each other. I think that's ultimately this is the way out. This is the way through. This is the way to prosper. This is if we're going to be this civilization that start to colonize, other planets and that go into other galaxies, we're not going to do it by beating each other up.
Yeah.
We're going to do it by working together, by loving each other, by being compassionate, by being understanding, by respecting each other's differences, But we're going to learn that there's that we all need to work together. And this is really about being united versus being, separated, like the world is right now, and that's the way forward. So that's kind of another thing that really impacted me in the last couple of years, kind of changed my trajectory and made me feel way more comfortable and confident about what I was doing and where I'm going with the method. And I think that's the right path for me to follow. And people have been responding a lot to that already.
It seems like in order for us to collectively work together, we have to kind of go on a journey individually first to kind of get to that point somehow.
Nathan, I'm gonna bring you everywhere I go because you decode everything I say in 2 sentences. Yes, absolutely. That's absolutely right. Yes, that's part of the journey. First, before you can be a productive member of society, you got to work on yourself.
Yeah.
You want to be a better father, you want to be a better mom, you want to be, first you have to work on yourself. Time for yourself is very important. You have to be selfish about yourself. You have to work on yourself. If you want to serve others, you have to work on yourself. You can't just be like, you neglect you because that is not, You need to work on yourself, and then you can be way more efficient working with other people, absolutely. Yeah.
It seems like there's a relationship between progression and adversity in all these dimensions you're talking about. So, obviously the physical realm, the only way you're going to increase your capacity is to stress yourself. So are you saying then that in the emotional states and the spiritual states, you have to stress yourself as well?
That's what I'm learning. Absolutely. I think stress is good. There's two kinds of stress. It's chronic stress. That's bad. Okay. But a little bit of stress, not getting what you want, a little bit of pain, is part of that process. Listen, if you're always comfortable, there's no impetus for growth. Nothing happens. In bodybuilding, if you do the same set, the same way, everything, eventually you're going to get weaker. You need to give your body a little bit of challenge to adapt. And I think that's what we need. So we need to really find stress. And I think stress is very good. And that's what I'm learning right now. Doing this documentary, I'm like, okay, what would spiritual fitness look like?
Yeah.
How would you, boost your spirits, and what would be like, for example, a good exercise to kind of challenge that? And same thing for the mind, how would you strengthen the mind? Can you weaken the mind? Can you strengthen the mind? Can you boost the mind? What would a strong mind look like? What are some exercises? So I'm in the process of kind of writing that little protocol because I'll apply it to fitness. So what are the exercise and the type of intensity and the timing and everything, and understand that part. But absolutely, yeah, I think that you want to approach the mind, you want to approach your psychology, and you do want to challenge yourself from time to time. For example, moving. Okay, moving is a great example. I moved from LA to Utah. For the first couple of months, I was really fucking pissed off. Even though nobody forced me to move, but I moved from LA to Salt Lake City, and not being in my routine, not be able to work out, having the house not ready, and having all kinds of shit fucking happen that just I had to reassess everything. And not being in my routine, that really just pissed me off. But now I've gained more from this. Yep. It was a controlled stress, and I've learned from that, learning new language. When I moved from France, to the US when I was 17, now you don't have anything. The thing, you go, I went to high school, I finished high school in the US. man, that first 3 months, that was an ass kicker for me. I had to learn English as I'm doing biology reports and math, and it's just like English, and it's like, wow, but it just makes you that much stronger, and then you realize, oh, it's not that bad, and you move again, and you move again, and you move, and then you move, and then it's just like, all of a sudden, it's just, it's not, you start to be okay with that, so learning new languages, moving, do different things, kind of challenge you that way, but so I'm in the process of kind of understanding more about all of this stuff.
One thing I find, it's funny, I was thinking about this last week. I was talking to someone about spirit, because it's something that you can't really physically see, but it's definitely a feeling. And I was saying to that person that sometimes I feel like a lift in my spirit if I hear a certain song or I hear a certain phrase of words. Something about it strengthens you and you feel that strength, and it's very much inside of you somehow. But it'd be interesting if you could create a protocol that would actually make that a process you could do repeatedly, because that'd be exciting to do. It's just almost like I feel like a strengthened spirit. For example, back in the day, watching those Rocky movies.
Yeah.
Every time I see a training montage, I'm like, "Fuck yes!"
You want to go for one?
Yeah, straight away.
You see Rocky is just going for that. Going up the stairs. I'm like, oh my god! The next day you're fucking running, man. Yeah. It's just like, I love that. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just like that's a perfect example. Yeah, you look at that, it's like, oh yeah, it'll do that too. Yeah, wouldn't it be interesting to really understand what happens so you can do it more repeatedly, and it'll be just easier, right? Because motivation. I talked to this guy. Is an expert in motivation, and he told me, Sebastian, you can't motivate someone. You can inspire someone, but you cannot motivate anyone. That motivation comes by doing. And I thought it was very interesting, and I thought about it. It's like, oh, okay, so that's the difference between inspiration and motivation. You can inspire someone to do something, but motivation comes by doing, which makes it so much more difficult because you have to be doing it already to get motivated. It's just like, that's the trick. I don't know how many times you have to do something in order to get motivated about it, but that made a lot of sense. That's the trick. And that's why I always say to people, listen, the hardest part is just to show up. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be the gym, but whatever you do is just you have to show up. And that's when discipline comes in. Oh, it's morning, and I have to do this, oh my God, it's like a Sunday morning, and I'm, running every day. I don't want to run today, and it's raining outside. But you're still going to fucking do it. And that quick decision changes everything. It changes everything. And it's just amazing. It's just fucking amazing. And then you keep doing this enough, and then enough, and it becomes a routine, and then it's just, then it's sustained because it's what it is. And the discipline, that's what I want. For me this year is discipline because of that. Oh my God. I love pastries. And then so I was just like, man, I got a big addition to sugar, which I need to fucking kick because sugar is really bad for you. So
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it's energy in, energy out, but it's a lot of energy.
I'm disciplined about every other thing in my life. When it comes out, and especially here because I'm trying new pastries. There's a lot of great places to eat here in Salt Lake City, and so I'm always like, if I say new pastry, I haven't eaten this one before, so I'm just trying to sign like. And then people always give me chocolate, all that stuff. When I was in Paris, it was just like, you want to try this? You want to try that? Like, no, but okay, I'll try that. So yeah.
Maybe we're the same because I just actually try and do a hard stop and all that stuff because I know if I start it, I just eat the whole thing. So it's easier just to say no than because I know if I start, I just won't stop. Yeah.
Dude, when I was in my 20s, man, I would not touch alcohol, sugar, smoking, whatever, it's just nothing at all. I was just so into it, and then I moved to LA and LA completely corrupted me. Or I let LA corrupt myself. I can't just blame everything on LA. I'm still kind of blame you, but really, that's me.
Yeah, that's the environment. Environment does shape.
Oh, man, absolutely, yeah.
That's one thing I like. A really nice analogy is if you have a pot plant or a plant that's not growing very well, but you put it in a different environment and it starts to grow well. It's literally the environment which is holding it back.
Yeah. Environment is very important. That's true. Yeah.
With your experience with starting off Angel City Gym and then moving on, and then you kind of finding your own way to do your method, which is more results focused, and then you're kind of adapting it over time. When I saw that you said you've up to your 10th iteration of what that is, and the Lagree method now is nowhere, is not what it used to be. It's changed a lot. I could actually understand why, because your environment's changed a lot. You know, you started off with like one-on-one like circuit classes with Pilates apparatus, and then you changed to 4 machines in your apartment, and then you change to a commercial space with 10 machines. So you literally cannot keep the same format as the environment adapts.
Guys, listen to Nathan. That's what I'm saying now. You know, this is why I'm evolving the method even more now, because the method is getting so popular and it's getting crowded around 10 machines. Because when I started to operate with 10 machines, and then of course I had an issue with the reformer, because the reformer, I had a lot of people falling off the machines, because now I was pushing the reformer for the environment it was not designed for. It was not designed for basically circuit training with 10 people. So, and I was using the Lagree body, the Lagree from Balanced Body, the first version.
Yep.
So that's when I decided to make my own machine, and then making the Proformer. When the Proformer arrived, I had 10, and when I was doing the license, everybody just would get 10. The number of machines never came into questions. I never questioned it. Was 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. It was all 10 machines. But now, everybody is doing 10, and I have a lot of ex-licensees which are copycats, right? And so now you have everybody who's like, you know, getting that space, and they all operate with 10, you know. And I'm trying to get licensees to realize like the environment has changed again. And 8, 10, 12 machine is good to start with, but it's not a number you want to stay at.
Yeah.
So now I'm doing I'm creating all the tools and all the technology and the training techniques so that you can effortlessly teach 20, 30, 40, 50. This is why when I was in Toronto, we had 200 people, because I'm trying to break down the psychology of people. Say, oh, 10 is the most I can do. No, 10 is what in the industry standard, because that's when I started to license the method back in 2006. I had 10 Proformers, so everyone else always got 10. No one questioned. You know, they don't even question 10, but I question myself all the time. And then in 2013, I started to have like 18 machines. 2013 is when I started to just realize, oh my God, this method is going to be like everywhere. And if everybody operates with 10 machines, it's not a good thing. You have to learn how to operate at a bigger number. And the studios will thrive in the future are the studio that will feel comfortable operating, not with 20, sorry guys, with 30, with 40, with 50, with 60. The studio I'm building right here in Utah, I have 100 machines.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God, awesome.
100 machines. I'm going to do 4 sections of 25 machines.
Yeah.
So I could do 100 people on the same machines, or I could basically do 25 on the Micro, 25 on the Mini, 25 on the Evo, 25 on the Mega. And then I can also broadcast these classes. So as I'm teaching, for example, a class with 25 people, you know, then I can broadcast this class to all the studio who have that same machine that day. So it's going to be what do you call that, a dynamic studio, where it's not always the same machine, and it could be different machines. So I'll have literally like a warehouse full of machine. I can just swap out the machine, and I can use that for classes, educational purposes, training, and so on. But also getting people more comfortable to operate at a bigger number. Now I'm happy to say that this year we've had more and more licensees opening with 30 and 40 machines. I'm opening a studio at the end of the year with 40 Mega Pros. That will be the biggest studio so far in the world, but still kind of a far cry from getting 100 people. And the other thing too is this, so the idea of changing the environment is this, because now everybody's getting too comfortable with 10 machines, so I'm gonna disrupt that, okay? But imagine when you have 100 people. So that studio I'm opening right over there, I'll pay $1,000. If you have 100 people coming in your class, you'll get paid $1,000
To teach it.
To teach it.
Whoa.
Yeah, I want to create superstars.
Wow.
For me, the trends. You know, I'll tell you what a thing that I very disliked when I was a teacher working for Ivan and also working for the studios. I never liked the fact that some teachers are treated like shit.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to charge their clients $120 a session. They give you $20. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I'm doing all the fucking work.
Yeah.
Okay? I should get at least half of that fucking money.
Yeah.
Respect me.
The instructor is the experience.
The structure is everything. Guys, for anyone in the fitness industry, the teachers are your most important assets. I'm creating tools so that your teacher can express themselves to the fullest. That's what I'm doing. The machines that I make are tools used by teachers. If I get my brain operated on, I want to give my surgeon the best fucking tool so that I don't fucking die on the operating table. I want the best surgeon with the best tools.
Yeah.
You know, that's where fitness is going.
Yep.
And so studios, you want to stay small, 6, 8, 10 machine, I respect you, but you're going to get eaten. You will get swallowed up by the bigger studios. The name of the game now, in the 2030s, you'll see mega size studios opening. And at that point is, if you don't know what you're teaching, the problem is this, is it's like when you have 100 people and you don't know the method, or you don't understand movement at a fundamental level, if you don't understand sequencing and stuff like that, you are going to crash and burn. And that's going to be very interesting. I'll predict that maybe only about 5 to 10% of the trainers right now will be good enough to teach at this environment. So it's going to be very competitive. But the upside is some of those teachers is going to change the way they live. They live. You know, now you'll be able to, you know, teach. You can afford a nice car and a house, and you don't have to have 2 jobs. You know, you can put your kids to school. I want people to live on a fucking teacher salary.
Yeah.
You know, what I really think that, you know, because people don't understand that is when you have a personal trainer, and the personal trainer is working with you 3 times a week, and that person, he or she, is not just transforming your physique, they're transforming how you see yourself. That is worth so much money. It's worth way more than 60 or 80 or $100, whatever you pay that person. What you're gaining from that session is so much more than just a better body. You are literally seeing you have a whole new lease on life. You have a whole new way of looking at yourself in the mirror. Sometimes, you know, when I would train personal train people, they would, like, you know, some people quit their job, get a better job. I help them to motivate themselves to want a better life for them. You can't put a price on that. You know, not only you're losing weight, but now you realize, hey, you know what? I feel good about myself. Hey, fuck this shot. You know, I want better things for myself. Fuck. Anyone who allows you to get to that realization is worth their weight in gold, man.
Priceless.
It's a process. And there's a lot of personal trainers out there. There's a lot of teachers who actually help people in monumental ways.
Yep.
You know, in making life, critical decisions that are literally going to change the course of their life. You know, these people should be rewarded. You know, so that's why for me, I'm adding a lot of technology. I am adding AI on the machine, but I'm not adding AI to replace the teachers. I'm using it so it allows this amazing person to teach effortlessly to 100 people.
Yep.
You know, that's how I see the use of AI and technology and quantum computing, is to allow these brilliant people to be more accessible, essentially.
Enhance.
You know? Yeah. And that's the future I'm choosing, you know, for AI, and that's how I decide to integrate it. Yeah,
it's fucking so cool. I'm
You know?
so pumped up by that idea.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're creating like it's like the difference between playing like a local league versus like the Premier League. It's like, yeah, you're creating levels. You know, you're creating like, it's like a fucking stadium of high performance like instructors. You know what I mean? I feel like anyone can become an instructor and teach in a small group, because you can fuck up as much as you want and you can fix it. But as soon as you put scale on it, like every decision has to be more intentional. You're restricted in what you can do.
Yeah.
You have to be more refined. So that's what I love about training trainers to teach like group classes of around like 20 plus, is because you can't just start anywhere and do anything. You have to have like a process.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You can't just, you know, you need to know what you're doing. I love that, man. That's why for me now I have that bug. So now I can't wait to have 300 people and 400 people and 1,000 people. And I'm not going to stop, as, you know, maybe one day I'll have to just teach in the desert, because that'll be the only place I can put like 10,000 fucking people. But I will do. I'll literally will not stop. If you give me the opportunity to teach that many people, I totally will, because it's just incredible. Yeah. When you perform like this and you got everybody moving, and there's just it's just an incredible moment. But you got to know your shit. Yeah, you can't you can't lie your way through this. This is very, very obvious. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, you know, I've realized, you know, when I had my studio, I had like 10 machines, 11 machines, 12 machines. And 11 machines the most. And I realized with classes full all the time. We had 90 classes a week, always full. And then the studio next door became available, and I'm just like, oh man. Because when I was studying in my apartment and he had 4 machines, I remember I had one of my instructors, Eric, come in. And then one day Eric is like, hey, listen, I want to let you something. I want to let you know, like these 2 girls who just took a class here, They bought the machines from Balanced Body. They have the same machines, but they have 10 in Studio Cities, and they're writing all your routines down, and they're teaching that. And I'm like, 10 machines? I will never teach 10 people. It's so unsafe. I had 4 people. And then here I am, talking about teaching to 10,000 people. So again, it's just like, what else that I don't know about myself? What are the other mental blocks that I need to remove immediately, Yeah. And, oh my God, yeah. I always remember the conversation with Eric. I'm like, fuck, because I'm now pushing it to that next level. But also, nothing has changed, I realized, so when I went from 10 machines to 18 machines, that was like a big jump. So I got the space next door, got 18 people. And right away, this was in 2013, and realized that things had to change radically. That was a big change, again, the environment, 18 people. But I realized I had to make things just simpler. And every single time I make the method and the movement, everything simpler, it actually benefits everyone. It's actually a better way to teach.
Yep.
It really, when you teach to a large group of people, it really highlights what are the shortcomings or what are the weakness part, and highlights what are the strong part. And it's a wonderful way to learn about yourself, what you can do, but also about method and fitness in general. And, the methods got much better because now, I challenge myself to have 200 people. But I would say, like you say, a big shift was going from 12 to 20. But after that, if you feel good at 20, 30, 40, I haven't really noticed anything. After that, it's about logistics and things like that. But as far as the method itself, it's just interesting from 12 to 20. It's like right in there, there's something that happens. And then if you can fill up your class at 20, then you'll do great with 30, 40, 50, and so on. Yeah.
It's a process of natural selection. You have to kind of figure out quickly what's not going to work and just get rid of it. And then you're just optimizing everything, streamlining everything, focusing on like first principles. You want to try and say the least amount of information and get them moving well.
Absolutely.
And then you need like a hyper level of awareness to better see everything to make good decisions.
Yeah.
So like I love that. I love that because it's what we were talking before about stress testing yourself. Like it's stress testing yourself because you have ideas and concepts and theories about what will work. Well, let's see if they work.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Honestly, this is going to be the best time to fucking try it, Yeah, what I've realized when I do my group classes, first of all, there's an exercise that I love. So the wheelbarrow. Okay, I love the wheelbarrow because I was doing that. I've always used the ab wheel. And the 1990s, I don't know if you remember, you had the torso track. Love the torso track. I had one in the house. I just loved that machine. It was really brilliantly designed. So I had the ab wheel, the torso track. So when I got on the reformer, I'm like, oh my God, it's like a giant fucking torso track. It's perfect. So right away, I love the wheelbarrow. But in all of these years, fucking A, I don't know what's wrong with you people. Why do you hinge at the fucking hips? Always, I show you how the wheelbarrow. You hinge at the shoulders. You keep your body in a plank position. But no, I show you, I tell you, and you still fucking hinge at the hips. So now I don't do the wheelbarrow anymore. I go into the saw. Saw is the wheelbarrow on the elbows. Okay, the saw and the wheelbarrow are identical in movement, one in your hands, one in your elbows. But on the elbows, 100 people, out of 100 people, 100 people will do the saw.
Yep.
If I teach the wheelbarrow, out of 100 people, 20 will do the wheelbarrow, 80 people will still back and basically do like, hinge at the hips or don't know what they're doing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's some exercise like that. It's just like, I can't crack it, So there's some movements like that. But I've learned this, and then when I do my lunges on the machine, I never do light lunges anymore. I do only heavy lunges because it's easier to stabilize. And then we have also a lot of guys doing the class, so they respond better to the heavy push. So in the years, I've been able to really just kind of formulate like literally a way to teach these big group classes, and it just fucking works, man. It's just nice. It really is great when you look back and you see the evolution and things, and then just see how things are kind of working. But it's always for the best, And by pushing yourself and by putting yourself in situations that are uncomfortable, and as long as you understand that it's temporary and it's only meant to be to challenge yourself, and it's not, and it's for it's the purpose to learn. It's amazing what you learn very quickly, And now when I look at other people teach, sometimes it's like, wow, it's just like some people teach the same shit for 30 years. I'm like,
yes.
Fuck, man.
Yep.
That's got to be hard. It really hard, but hard, man. I just like, a lot of respect to people who do the same shit they were doing 30 years ago, man. I can't.
That's what I always find so funny about when someone has like a resume and they're like, oh, 30 years experience. Is it 30 years experience or is it 1 year 30 times? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm going to use that. Love that. Yeah, that's what people do, you know. I think it's so important to just kind of understand why things are just working at the end of the day. Why am I feeling this way? Why I feel this way after a workout or this or that? I mean, it's just like I'm constantly questioning everything. You know, I want to learn more, you know.
I want to know more about your view on the difference between movement and exercise. So when I first heard you speak about that, I was like, oh my God, I always just assumed it'd be the same thing. But the way you explain it to me, it actually makes a lot of sense. Like,
right?
Yeah.
Well, because so an exercise is usually like a primary mover, just one primary mover. An exercise, okay, do a biceps, okay? Movement is essentially the integration of many things in isolation, okay? So the way I came to that realization is that, you know, I'm teaching this exercise. So on the reformer, I've always known that every time you get on the reformer, you work on your core, right? Because you're basically moving with the weight, right? At the gym, for example, if you guys do like a leg press, an inclined leg press, and you're pushing the weight away from you, imagine if as there would be a way to push the weight and also sit on top of that weight rack. Your body will process that totally different. If you were moving with the weight, then your body has to stabilize itself as you do the exercise. So by definition, on the reformer, it's impossible to isolate. Because in isolation, you remove this core stabilization. You only focus on the parts that it's moving. So when I created all the exercises for Lagree Fitness, it was always from an isolation point of view. But as I'm developing more and more machine, there was a lot of clash. There was a lot of pieces that were no longer fitting. Like the scrambled eggs, for example. Scrambled eggs is a core exercise, but I've taught it for many years as a leg exercise because I was focusing on what was moving. Right? So you get on your knees on the carriage, you attach your foot strap around the leg, and you swing that leg back. So I've always thought, oh, because it's that leg moving, it's what we're working. Yes, but the most powerful, actually what's more important than that, is to actually keep the rest of the body stable. That's the exercise. And I missed that for so many years. I've always focused on all my modification variations was for the leg that I was moving up until one day, and that came shortly after the Supra. You know, it was not like a realization one day. It kind of slowly started to become like, I think that blah blah blah, and then the more I did it, the more I started to become more believing that was the right idea, right? But I can't remember the day where I just feel like, oh, it's moving, it's moving by integration, not exercising by isolation. And so, you know, I was already, and the way I transitioned from exercise to movement was from core, because it took me a while to understand about the core. I knew the core was active in all this movement, but I never made it a more integral part of the Lagree Method. You know, from 1998 to probably 2012, 2013, I'm still very isolated base. So all the modifications and variations are for what's actually moving, the leg that is moving, the arm that is moving. And then very quickly, maybe 2010, 2011, and then the early 2010, 2016, I'm focusing more on core integration. So now I'm starting to look at some movement like the scrambled egg, some of the movements where I'm basically now more, I'm integrating the core in it, because I realize, oh yeah, you can't really just, this movement doesn't work because you're moving with the weight. And then I think shortly after the Supra, probably 2018, 19, 20 is when I start to understand more like, wait a minute, it's not just core, it's an integrated movement, you know. And, you know, I was, at the time, I was adding the panels on the machines, you know, and I did the panels because I wanted to basically reduce the impact on the joints and connective tissues. I'm getting older and I'm looking at exercise as a protocol for longevity and anti-aging. But not just exercise, you know, it's just movement. You know, I'm looking at, because you when you exercise, you put a lot of inflammation on the joints, because that's what you focus on, is just the articulation of the joints. But when you do a movement, you're using your entire body to perform this action, right? And I think that's a better way to work out, because you're also taking into effect the rest of the body. Because the reality is you can't really isolate a bicep curl, because it's still connected to your shoulders and your lats and everything else, right? And your chest. So if you wanted to isolate your biceps, you have to literally just take the biceps, remove it from your body, and then stimulate it, on a table. And that would be a pure isolation. But the body doesn't work that way because the body is always looking for efficiency and economy in the movement because your body is as lazy as you are. It wants to spend the least amount of calories. So it's trying to find, instead of doing 100% of that muscle, it rather use 10% of everything else.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so when you realize, so the Lagree method is now evolving with how the body was actually engineered. But now I'm thinking, well, it's not just the body. The mind is a powerful component of the workout as well. So now we really want to address the mind and the spirit in this whole evolution of this integration. So it's not just the integration of all of the muscles. It's also integrating your mind, your emotions. All of that now becomes also a very powerful aspect of the workout that I didn't consider before. So it's all kind of snowballing into becoming an integrated mind, body, spirit workout. If that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a really nice story how it started off with like isolation training and bodybuilding, and as your awareness has expanded, the method's expanding with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But listen, if you're going to be bodybuilding today, you're going to compete on that stage, you have to isolate. I mean, it's just, you can't, doing that workout would be great. It would be a great complement to a bodybuilding regimen. But you're still going to have to isolate. I mean, you still have to develop this muscle to like unbelievable proportion, right? So with my method, you're not going to get muscular or you're not going to get bodybuilding big. You'll get strong, whole body strong. You'll learn how to harness, all of the strength of your body into one movement, but you're not going to get like, hulky big,
Yeah.
So
I think it makes sense though, because at each stage, your result you're trying to achieve was different. And now the result's changing that you're trying to achieve, the method's adapting to get to that point too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the intent, everything is different. But also what I love is also now we have better tools to measure. I'm working with Sam Houston State University in Houston. And I'm really interested because this year is the first time that we're going to be doing a study on the tempo. So we're going to have different participants moving at different speed. Because right now there's been some studies about, slow reps, usually like 10 seconds out, 10 seconds in. But nothing has really been done just like outside of that, about 20 seconds and 30 and 40. What a benefit. How is your mind, how is your body going to react, to a 2-minute repetition, a minute in, a minute out, all control like that. So this is kind of what we're going to study, the effect of tempo, and duration, on the muscle, on the mind, and things like that. So I'm really interested in that because I really believe that there's actually moving at different speed, bring out different effects.
Yep.
And I think your body is very precise with that. So I'm really interested. Like one thing I love in working out is isometric contraction. I think it's a very safe way to train a muscle, but you can't just do that all the time as well.
Yep.
You to mix it up. But it's very interesting, all these different modalities of moving and how they affect you and your body. It's very interesting.
When you brought out the Pro Forma, I noticed that you still had shoulder pads on that, but you've taken them off. Why did you take them off?
So that was a lucky accident. So when I was working out on the Allegro, I love the fact. So when I was working out on the Reformer, the first Reformers, I was doing a movement where you could stand on the carriage. But I don't know if you remember the original Reformers, it's a carriage that sits on top of the rails.
Yep.
So if you put too much weight on either end of the carriage just flips. And that happens so many times. I've seen that so many times. So you couldn't really do lunges safely on the carriage. And then one time I saw the Allegro from Balanced Body, and I think they were the first company to actually trap the carriage inside 2 rails. So then you could do whatever you want on that. So I got really interested in the Allegro, and I thought, well, this is perfect, for what I want to do, because now I can just have pressure on the outside of the carriage, and the carriage is going to stay stable. And so when I made the Pro Former, I literally just used the same concept, okay? And so the Pro Former was essentially an Allegro on steroids. Okay, except that I also had a platform on the front, a platform on the back, because before me, nobody put platforms anywhere, right? So put a platform on the front, platform on the back, and I'm doing this exercise, and I think we had some issues, the shoulder rest one time or something, but anyway, I know I removed them from one of the carriage, and I saw these 2 holes in there. And then I started to do some reverse giant wheelbarrow on that. I'm just like, so all of a sudden I just look at those holes. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. I never considered having like openings on the carriage like that. But what are the shoulder rests? The shoulder rest, you lay on your back. The shoulder rest anchors you on the carriage. It prevents you from just sliding all over the place, right? But there are other ways to achieve exactly that. It's just I didn't consider that. So when I saw these two holes, I'm like, all of a sudden I was like, wow, wait a minute. There could be an opportunity here. We could have a whole access to the whole carriage, but instead of putting the shoulder rest, I could actually have basically two holes, because I could put holes somewhere else on the carriage to hold yourself. There's different ways you can secure yourself on the carriage. You don't have to just lay on your back, and then with your shoulders pressing against your shoulder rest, you could lay on your back. You could hold on to some handles. There's all kinds of different ways you can secure yourself. So that allowed me to that little incident allowed me to give me the idea to explore more, and I started to remove the bars, and I started to kind of play more with essentially just carving out the carriage. And then after that, on the M2, when it came out, you had already 2 eyelets, and then eyelets became so popular that I started to add more eyelets everywhere, and then it just kind of went all over the place. And then, for the anchoring, I came up with the M3E, which never went on sale, but that has like a too soft design like this on the side of the carriage. I mean, I came up with all kinds of carriages, man. If you went to my warehouse, you would see all kinds of iteration of the same thing, and I'm just trying different things. And then ultimately, I realized that the best anchoring is to actually stop having all these holes on the carriage, have pads that can lift up. Because if you want to anchor yourself, if you want to block yourself, then you can have the pads. So now on the Evo Pro, we have pads. We have 3 panels on the carriage, both lift both ways, and that gives you 100%. The whole carriage is anchorable. It doesn't matter where you are on the carriage, and it makes it cleaner. And it doesn't matter if you're like 4'5" or 7 foot tall. You will find a way to align your geometry with the geometry of the machine, and you'll find the right anchoring point, and that's because of those panels. So, and then I don't know, maybe 10 years from now, I'll have a whole other way to anchoring yourself. But anchoring yourself is very important when you do Lagree, because you don't want to fall. Yep. Right? You're going to be doing a lunge for 5 or 6 or 7 minutes. You have to stabilize the fucking carriage on top of that. So when you do a lunge on the floor and the lunge on the megaformer, is totally different because of the stabilizing effect that you have to do on the carriage, right? And that's why you need a way to anchor your feet, because as you start to weaken and you start to lose control, then what happens? You lose traction, you lose balance, and you fall off, right? And I'll be, and I'm happy to report that the most amount of falls that I've had in my classes are during the Allegro days. And I've had less fall on the Proformer, less fall on the Megaformer, and even on the Supra, where we had the Supra in use for 3 years, where that machine goes up and tilt both sides, no fall on that one, which is actually pretty remarkable, because my lawyers were like, oh my God, well, you knew what? So they wanted me to make people sign like fucking 100 pages liability waivers, like, you go like skydiving, But that's me, Now I have like, and then that machine worked out great, but that also designed it really well to make it safe, So, yeah. But now we have new machines coming out next couple of years that are going to put the Supra to shame. I mean, they're like, what you can do with those machines is fucking crazy, man. I can't wait, honestly. I cannot wait to be a little further along,
So you basically, when you had the Allegros, you're doing all of your... Did you ever teach lunges from the floor as well, or you just prefer to teach them on the machine?
No, it was the floor at first, yeah. It was the floor because on the Reformer, the only lunge that I taught was the floor lunge, And then so the way I intensify it, you come to my studio, and you would have basically the body bars. You have like 8 pounds, 9 pounds, 11 pounds, and then you would work. So you would do like series of lunges. We didn't do the standing in the thigh. So the funny thing about Balanced Body, they came to my my living room, and I had like 4 people living in my apartment. And Balanced Body, the head of engineering, comes in.
Wow!
And it's just like, wow, we're very interested. We've been hearing about how you use our equipment, and we're very interested in working with you. So, is there any way you'd ask us to modify the machines? And I told them, I said, dude, you need to put a platform. And if you could put a platform on the front and on the back. And it's like, on the back, well, you put a platform on the back. Well, we're not going to do that, but we can design you a wide platform. So I was the first person to get basically this prototype platform on the Allegro. What a game changer, man. All of a sudden, I had this basically 7.5 deep, 8 inches deep, a platform. You could kneel on it. You could stand on it. Oh my God, I went crazy. Skating, standing on the thighs, standing on the thighs, all kinds of squats, We had the elevator lunge, the escalator lunge, all the kneeling. I mean, whoa. Just that fucking platform just gave rise to hundreds of exercises. That was great. That just like things. And at that moment, I was fucked. Because then I started to like, oh, what else if you do this and what else if you do that? Because I started to realize, when you realize that your idea is actually really good, you don't know until you try. And then one day you realize that, oh my God, I have actually great ideas. And then that's it. Then it becomes a curse because it's the money you spend in R&D. I've spent over $100 million in the R&D and the tooling of these machines. Just that since I started this, And I can't stop myself. And the cost is going up because now we're adding the AI. Now I'm able to add electronics. I'm able to add sensors. We're able to add a computer. Next year, we have the Evo 2 coming out. The Evo 2 will know which speed you're at, which speed you should be at. It's going to know your range of motion. It's going to work with you with your range of motion. It'll make some adjustments on the tension. If the tension is too much or not enough, I'm working on polar. So we're going to add the heart rate monitoring. So the heart monitoring will be another biometric. We're going to add to all of that stuff. I mean, it's just like, the tension itself will be changed, depending if it's too much, not enough. Oh man, it's so fucking cool that we get there, It's just incredible how quickly now all the change is going to happen simply because there's more resources, and it's really cool. But like I say, it's a curse because it's just so much money poured into that stuff. And me, as long as I'm alive and as long as the method is doing well, I'm just going to keep pushing. I got patents on electromagnetics, maglev. I got a carriage that doesn't touch the rails.
What?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I got 2 patents on that. So this is something I will bring probably back sometime in the future because the problem is just like if I made that machine, it'd be like $100,000 machine. It's too expensive right now. So I'm looking at do things, but it's really cool to not see the carriage at all touching. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, okay? So for me, when I saw Star Wars the first time and I see that speedster, going across the desert or whatever that was called, I'm like, oh my God, I want maglev. That's like, I need to do maglev. That's it. And I also patents on connecting the brain to the machine. So by working on your brain waves, the machine can do some things, right? So I will incorporate brain waves into the workout. Not anytime soon. This is probably 10 years from now. But I already have some patents on that stuff. I got some pretty cool patents on some really cool tech. So we're getting to the point now with AI and quantum computing. Things are getting just easier, more accessible. That's why I just can't stop. The best shit is about to come. I love all the machines I built so far and the one that's coming now, but this is nothing in comparison to what's cooking and what's coming, and it's really fucking cool.
Feels like you're like the Elon Musk of like the fitness industry, really, because you're combining technology into this.
Yeah. It's so cool. There's new electric, this new machine that I'm building, and it's going to use springs and also an electric motor. So it's going to be a hybrid tension. But the way we're building it, you will have 18 different type of resistance. 18.
Wow.
18. It's fucking crazy. You can do the same runner's lunge and then do it with 18 different ways of stimulating the muscle.
Would that be, to think about it, would that be like organizing 18 different levels of resistance into like a gradient so you could scale up and down?
Yeah.
Yep.
Or you have oscillatory tension, or you can change basically because you're no longer going to be depending on the region of the carriage with the springs. You can actually have resistance both ways because right now when you work on the carriage, in order to either push the carriage or pull the carriage, you still have to move the carriage out. You have to move the carriage out, move the carriage in. So you either focus on the way out or on the way in. Mm-hmm. But with the way I'm integrating these machines, you'll be able to have both in and out. So you can push, you can also pull on the way back in.
In one exercise?
One exercise, yeah.
Whoa. It's like turning one exercise into like concentric both directions.
That's it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How do you come up with these ideas?
And then you have the machines that goes up and down and tilt, all that stuff. And it's just like, that's the bodybuilding inside of me because I know that you just need different tensions. In bodybuilding, you got to, variety, right, is the spice of life, right? So bodybuilders are constantly just trying new ways of attack the same muscle and things like that. I mean, you just because you're so obsessed with growth that it just overtakes you, and your body will naturally do things. You don't even think about it. The idea comes to you because the goal is to get bigger, right? So initially you think that lifting more weight is the goal, and you realize, no, it's not more weight, it's how you lift the weight. It's not the end. And then when you realize it's how you lift the weight, then it just comes, there's like 1,000 different ways you can lift that weight, brother, you know? So now you just more focus on this thing. For me, I realized that the integration, like the more I squeeze the dumbbell, the better result I'm going, you know? And that's something that it took me years to figure out, that the grip is so fucking important. Gripping the weight is as important as the weight itself in the movement. The grip is super important. It connects everything, and that's how you can get some really good size like that. But anyway, so all these years lifting weight and bodybuilding, you know, trying to figure out to get more growth with the same movement or whatever. Same thing here, you know, just realizing, well, why am I working this way? You know, when I saw the reformer the first time, I asked Ivan, I'm doing this exercise on the front of the reformer, and I asked Ivan, there was like within 10, 20 minutes of this, and I asked Ivan, it's like, why don't you have anything on the back of the reformer? And Ivan is a bodybuilder. And Ivan looks at me and is just like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, you're doing this movement with the support of the spring. Yes. But what about if you do all these movement in counter resistance on the back end? And he asked me, why would you want to do that? And I'm just like, wow, it's interesting, because that's the first pop. Because in those days when I was doing the ab wheel, I would use a TheraBand, and I would do also the ab wheels against the TheraBands, you know. Mm-hmm. I love that. This was my favorite thing to do. In between triceps, lat, chest, whatever, I get on my knees, boom, I put the TheraBands, and I love doing these fucking ab wheel movements. I just love that movement. It's so simple. It's so fucking dumb, but it's such a great movement. Great for your spine. I need to do it again. I know I need to do it again. You know, I'm that guy now preaching stuff. I'm the hypocrite right now. I know. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna get back to it. Fucking promise. I promise. Okay, but so I've always played with the tension and things like that, or adding rubber bands, you know, to the equipment itself. You know, like at my gym, I have a 4,000 square foot private gym in LA, and it's all like Life Fitness. I mean, it's just like Hoist and all the big brands. You know, I got because I'm always buying fitness machines. I'm just obsessed. It's like an Italian brand right now. I fucking love how they have the weight. It's the way the machines are moving. It's a very circular. It's just like you move it, your body. So when you do a shoulder press, it goes in like this. It doesn't go up. When you do a lat, it goes around like this, right? So it's just brilliantly designed. So I added springs to that. So I added springs to all my weightlifting machines. I love the weight and the springs together. It's such a great combination. So all my machines have been springified. My leg press, my lat pull down, fucking love that. My son is just like, you should patent this stuff. I'm like, no, this is too archaic now. When I patent this new delivery system, that will be applicable to any machines, and I can license that. I can just have other fitness equipment, other fitness company use it for their things. But I'm always thinking about different ways. Like one, for example, that I'm super interesting is I call it oscillatory training, and you can only do this with a digital type of resistance, and the resistance just go in and out. You just oscillate. It goes in and out. It turns off, it turns on. So you go from 0 to 100, but it just goes super fast like that. I can't wait to try that. I would like to, I believe that with the right resistance, you could actually eliminate the wear and tear on the joints, because in order for you to stimulate the muscles, you have to wear it out. But when you wear it out, if you don't know what you're doing, you can also cause a lot of inflammation on the joints. And then you fatigue the muscles, and the muscle you break it down in order to basically for it to repair itself. You lose a lot of time because you break down the muscle, you have the lactic acid that come in. It's not until you get rid of lactic acid that the muscles start to grow again and get strong, right? What if you could have a type of resistance that completely gets rid of all the breakdown of the muscle, but actually stimulate the muscle to get bigger right there and then? You don't need to go to the breakdown of the muscle. You can just get it stronger like this. And I think that's possible. You just basically stimulate. You would save so much time. For bodybuilders, you would save so much fucking times. You don't have to just wait for you don't go into the rest phase. You grow immediately. So I'm really interested to see if there's all these different modalities of this, and that's what I'll be studying when that machine is ready.
So fascinating to me that, like you're saying, as someone that doesn't like to read books, yet you're studying shit that hasn't been studied yet. It's like you're kind of like on the
With that I
extremes.
don't mind. So reading research, I don't mind. I can read that stuff. I do mind reading emails and shit like that though. But that anything with science based, I fucking love that. I love that whole process. I think it's just so interesting. You live in the most advanced, the most sophisticated piece of machinery that you will ever come across. Forget about rockets going to space, forget about AI, forget about quantum computing. You live in such a sophisticated machine. It's just incredible. You know, I mean, we live in incredible, this body is incredible. I mean, maybe not, this is not incredible, okay? I agree, you know, but it's incredible what we can do as humans. And we only are becoming aware of what's our true potential. We are literally unlimited, you know, by design. We really are, you know. So
Wow.
it's interesting. I'm really fascinated with anatomy and the body. I love watching, you know, Olympics, and I love to see these athletes pushing themselves. And it's just like, it's fucking great, you know. It's just like, love people excelling at their you know, skills. Fucking A. I was watching this documentary about this guy. What was the guy? He died, unfortunately, but it was this soloist. He was just like, you know, hiking like a El Capitan, you know, just without ropes and, you know, climbing on buildings, stuff like that. There's him and there's two other guys. Anyway, it was on Netflix. Man, wow. Things like that just like amaze me, you know. You're dangling 2,000 feet up in the air, like no fucking cable, man. The balls, the confidence, the mindset to do that is unbelievable. I respect that so much. It's like, I'm looking at this like, yeah, this is what humanity can be. Not just this guy. All of us can be that way. You know, how is that guy able to do this and completely just like, you know, what is going through the mind? I love this, you know. I mean, if we could have, you know, billions of people feeling that way, I mean, you know, having that kind of confidence, I mean, how does the world be different, you know? Instead of just fucking sitting on your ass and just living life, pass by, you know. But when you are fully integrated with your mind and your spirit and your body, you are unbeatable. Unbeatable. You become a weapon, but for the good, right?
And you're also not playing anyone else's game. You're doing your own thing. So you can't be beaten when you're on your own path.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, I just love watching that stuff, what we can do. We're only becoming aware right now of a real true potential. Potential goes way beyond of what we think. I think we have hidden powers for sure. You know, I love that. It's just like, and so I want to try to uncover as much as possible. You know, just learn that, learn this. You know, what makes us. You know. So anyway,
Unlimited by design. That's a great call.
Yeah.
That's a fucking great call. I love that.
Yeah.
So much in that. Like, and the moment you said, you know, you're in the most advanced piece of technology, it took me a while to understand that you meant the body, and I was like, fuck, that's true, because like, you know, it can heal itself. You know what I mean? Like, how crazy is that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, I can't. It's funny that we can kind of exist in such a kind of like a day-to-day existence, but then when you actually start to question things, you're like, how is this even real? You know what I mean? Like the other night I was like looking at the moon, I was like, how the fuck is that thing just floating around?
Right.
You know, how is it that from everyone's understanding that it just infinitely goes on forever? Like, it's just like, it doesn't make sense, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I know. When you look at space and time, you know, I'm doing this whole thing. Part of the protocol that I'm writing is I'm trying to get a little bit more like physics and astrophysics, you know. But when you look at movement, you move through time and space. You know, movement is space-time. It's fucking cool. It really is. It's like literally, if you love cosmology, I mean, if you love the universe, I mean, you are the universe, you know, and the universe cannot exist without you realizing there's a universe. It's just that symbiotic relationship between us and the universe. But we embody time space every single time we move. We move through time and space. It's like, it's fucking cool. It really is. I mean, I just love that. That's part of my favorite part. I mean, right now, You know, I'm having all kinds of realization like this. I'm just like, wow, this is really amazing. So being aware that you'll be able to move into time and space, this is like fucking amazing. You know,
like the idea too that the only thing that exists is right now,
Yeah.
and then all the nows are existing right now,
right?
and like any kind of decisions you make could infinitely go off in different directions. Like that kind of makes a lot of sense to me, that if you were to make good decisions repeatedly, then the destinations you get to are completely different, you know.
Well, yeah, you know, so absolutely. I think sometimes people think about the future and we doom. We're not doomed, you know, like AI right now, because I read a lot of posts about AI, and you have two school of thoughts. AI is going to help humanity. AI is going to doom humanity. And then what I was realizing the other day is just like it's not up to the AI to decide. People make it sound like it's up to the AI. Oh, is the AI going to be good or bad? You have two school of thoughts. You have this dystopian and utopian scenario, right? Both scenarios are possible and real. What's going to make it real is us. If enough of us decide that AI is going to be good for humanity, guess what? It's going to be good for humanity. If enough of us decide that it's going to be bad, then it will be bad. So guys, think it's going to be good, okay? But right now, yeah, there is two potential scenarios, more than two scenarios, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, it's really good, really bad. But it's not up to the AI, it's not up to technology to decide what the outcome is going to be. Technology is a fucking tool.
Yeah.
We use the tool, so we're the one who decide if that tool is going to have a good outcome for us or not. You know, and if knowing that we have that choice, then the choice is only one choice. Who would want the AI to be bad? Who wants that Terminator, you know, doomsday scenario? Let's use the AI for good. AI is going to help us. It's going to create more opportunities for jobs. It's not going to take your job. AI is another tool that is going to create more industries than ever before. AI will create more billionaires and more trillionaires than any other industries before. You know, it's like the Industrial Revolution. I'm sure that in the 1890s, when people started to automate, you know, factories and things like that, people say, oh, there goes the job. Well, look at what happened in the last 100 years. You know, there'll be more people, and all these people have had a job. Same thing's going to happen in the AI, but that's what you got to fucking choose, right? It's a fucking tool. Okay, it's not up to AI to decide what the outcome is going to be. You know, and when I look at the AI quantum computing, it's like, wow, you're gonna have like in a heartbeat, we could like literally just resolve every fucking situation that we have. I mean, I already think that we already have the solution, but I think there's some people higher up who don't want to have change. I think that the people that are really at the top of the food chain, really at the top, they like it how it is right now. Okay, so it's up to us, the people at the bottom. Because remember, there's no top without bottom, but bottom doesn't need a top, right? We at the bottom decide, you know, what's going to be good for us, what we want for society and things like that. But we have to collectively think and want the same thing. You know, if we still think, you know, that, you know, we're on the fence or whatever, you know, as the majority is always going to win. So please, guys, you know, always when you have technology like that, just, you know, hope for the best. You know, think about this is going to be the best. Look at the best in this, you know, and the best will be manifested. You know.
It's so awesome to speak with you, because the way you speak about things is coming from like a deep philosophical point of view, you know, and you're using fitness and you're using technology as a way to create these kind of enhanced, better environments for the future. You know, you're taking that desire of that technical space age stuff, but how can you make it like to make the world better? How can you make it to make the human body better? Like,
I think we have to. I mean, if you have kids, how would you not want to create a better world? You know,
Yeah.
I'm invested in the future. I have a beautiful son. I have a beautiful daughter, and they're, you know, he's 23, she's 21. They're just starting their life. You know, I don't want to create, you know, a doomsday scenario for them. You know, and then there's a lot of people right now having kids. You know, and you bring kids into this world, and you want to manifest, you know, a doomsday world for them? No, you don't. You have every interest to say, okay, I want to make sure that I do or I choose in the best, and I really want this everything to work out for everyone, because I have my kids, they're gonna have kids, and so on. You know, so I think that, you know, I'm very much invested into the future that way. You know. And that's why I want to leave things better than I found them. And I think that if more of us think that way, things will really change and manifest, and things will change. And you're going to reach a point where there's enough people having the same philosophy and doing the same thing, and all of a sudden the world will change in a flash. And then that's it. And then the people at the top, well, they'll have to adjust,
Yep.
But we hold all the power, and the future is not set, But if enough of us believe in a positive, good future with this job for everyone, this prosperity for everyone, then that is the future that we will have, because reality is co-manifested. I cannot manifest, we live in this world right now because of the way I think and I choose to live, and the way you think and you choose to live, and the way these 8 billion people out there, or 9 billion people out there, I don't know how many now, are choosing to think and live. But if we all collectively want to choose things that are good for all of us, then that's what we'll all have. But we need to do this collectively. There's some wonderful human beings out there. There's some fucking shitty ones for sure. Oh my God, But there are some wonderful people, and humanity is not doomed. I think there's, it's interesting to see the two spectrum of what humans are capable, And you got to focus on the positive. This is what you want. If you want that future, something in your life, guys, if you want a positive future, don't think about all the negative scenarios. We all do this, focus on the positive one. I'm not saying to ignore the bad stuff, but don't focus on the bad stuff. Focus on the good stuff. Always, that's what I do. Every day I have a choice of looking at a situation, and I'm always looking at, okay, how can I not just fix it, but resolve it so it doesn't happen in the future, or how can I benefit from this, or how can I spin this into that, or whatever. But I'm always looking at a positive outcome, never the negative outcome.
Are you into Stoicism?
What is that?
Ancient Greek philosophy, probably made famous by Marcus Aurelius. It's kind of about taking any situation and using it to your advantage. And
yeah, I mean, to some degree, yes, absolutely. I believe that any situation, good or bad, always had a good or bad aspect to that. And it's about perspective. Yes.
It sounds like your philosophy is very much in alignment with that.
Yeah.
Because the way they think about it is there's nothing to worry about. Either it's under your control, so you don't have to worry about it, or it's out of your control, you don't have to worry about it. So you're kind of like taking accountability, responsibility for everything in your life, which gives you control over it. So it's a really good way to operate. I think anyone who's successful at anything, you can't really get to being successful without that. But
yeah. Well, yeah, because you have, in any business, and then when you get to a certain level, you attract a lot of attention. And there's always the people who love what you do, and there's the people who just cannot wait to take you down, right? And those people, unfortunately, they create shitty situation for everyone. So I think you're forced to look at it that way. How can you turn the situation to your advantage? And I've always done that. That's probably one of my strengths, is to be able to turn a bad scenario into actually a good one. Yeah.
Do you have a process for that?
Oh my God, I'm better now because I've been doing it for so long, but initially it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks because it's always someone else who does something that forces you to respond. You mind your own business, everything is good, and then that person does something and forces you to respond, and in that response, then you start to look at this. And first of all, you try to see if there's validity into someone, because you can always say, oh, that person's an idiot, whatever. You have to look at their side, and you have to put themselves in the shoes, what led them to where they are, the intent. And then you have to really kind of get yourself familiar with the whole situation, and then just see if realize what is the upside of that, because every single bad situation actually has an upside, and you start to do that enough time, and automatically your body starts to transition to that right away. So the process becomes quicker and quicker and quicker. Every single time a new bad situation arises, you learn how to do that, and you pivot very quickly. But that takes time. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. Yeah, and it takes also some prior success to see that, oh, okay, that is the right way of doing things. Because sometimes, people want to retaliate. Things, bad shit happen to you, want to retaliate right away. And then you realize, wait a minute, if I retaliate, what is the long-term implication of that? So you kind of want to sit back and then just really just think things through. And sometimes bad situation happens and you realize, you know what? I'm actually going to let that go, because I think time is going to take care of it. That's what I'm doing now with certain things. I'm decided just like, I'm going to let time take care of it, actually, because I think that in the future I'm going to prevail.
Yep.
I think time is on your side. If you have good intentions and you always do things from the heart, you're always going to land on your feet. You're like a cat, right? Doesn't matter which height you fall, you will land on your feet. You're going to be fine. And sometimes let the situation be. Don't participate, and it'll dissolve on its own. And many times it does. But that takes a lot of strength, and that takes some experience to really feel comfortable with that. Because usually, if you get beaten, what you want to do, you want to beat the other person back, right? It's, oh my God, And sometimes like, okay, you got a couple cheap shots, but I'm going to let time take care of you.
Yep.
And time will do a better job than I can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if they're operating with that kind of ethic, then it's only a matter of time before things come back. Like
always. Like already now, I see a lot of things with copycats and counterfeits, things that I've done or not done, and I already see the positive change. And it happened a lot quicker than I thought. So I'm kind of happy with this. I don't address all of the copycats and the counterfeits. It depends. Sometimes I just kind of just let things sometimes, resolve on their own.
Yeah.
Most of the time they do.
Like the more I get to know about your story and how you've changed the use of the reformer initially and then how you scaled it, but I think you're pretty much the origin of dynamic grip reformer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
you are that because in Australia, that is like if anyone says what is Pilates, that would be the association. 10 plus reformers in a studio. You got like a mix of different props, including dumbbells, boxes, everything, and it's like, functional movements you'd see in a gym on a machine using the platform. Like you trace it back far enough, it's like, well, if you're the first person who put a platform on there and started doing that stuff, then it's literally come from you. So it's really an honor for me to speak to you actually, because a lot of the exercises that
thank you, man,
that I've like learned, and then some I've adapted from over time for myself to try and achieve different outcomes. It's just so nice to be able to kind of trace it back to where it's actually come from.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, when I saw the reformer the first time, I thought, man, okay, I know it's just for Pilates, but it's such a great application for fitness. I didn't look at the reformer. I saw the reformer, and right away I'm like, oh man, this could be so much more. And then right away I started to have some ideas for that machine. Because I thought if you're going to have a group class and you need one machine, it's reformer based, because you got the variable tension from the spring, which is better than weightlifting. In my opinion, springs are better for the body than dumbbells, and you have the carriage that moves back and forth. So you get some instability. It's not as unstable as a Bosu ball, because that is really next level. But it's unstable enough to trigger all the intrinsic muscle, right? And then you have your cables. So with this combination of the springs, the rolling carriage, and the cable, you can do hundreds of thousands of movements. You can literally recreate anything you want on that reformer. Now what I've done is basically just added more accessories, more technologies, so we can do more things for Lagree, more new kind of movement and things like that. But the reformer itself is just for me, that was the really concept for me. That was the main thing, is that the reformer is the best platform for fitness, period. You can work on your legs, your abs, your obliques, your back. I mean, anything you fucking want. What machine does more than the reformer? Nothing. You go to the gym, you have a leg press. What do? Leg press. You go on lat pull down. There's a big fucking machines that cost you just more than the reformer. The cable, okay, double cable machines, you can do a lot more with that. Any kind of cable machines will allow you to do a lot more, but it's still very limited. But on the reformer, you can do anything you want. Any kind of movement, any kind of core movement, arm movements, oblique movement, but whatever you're into, it's so versatile. I have a new machine coming out that I'm working on called the Micro Plus. I can't wait for you to see it. You're gonna fucking love that. It takes Lagree to a whole other training, a whole other level. It's a different level than the Supra or the Ultra, but it's really fucking cool.
When are you teaching your next class?
Next class, probably in LA next weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me have a look at the dates real quick. So that is next weekend. So is that the 4th and 5th? Or is that the 27th, 28th?
Yeah. It should be the 4th and the 5th, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might come along and do a class then.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. I'm going to tell Danielle to put me on the schedule.
Yeah, it'd be an honor. But I just want to say thank you so much for making the time today. And I just love your approach, and particularly how you said that you keep your finger on the pulse, because I feel like anyone who's kind of ascended to the levels you're at, all they try and do is remove themselves from the process completely. They probably view everything based on data and then based on money. But it seems like your focus really isn't on money. As long as you don't even care about that, you're just trying to make things way better. You know?
I use the money exactly for this, man. The more money you give me, the more I'm going to spend on R&D. It's just like I love R&D. It's my favorite thing to do. And especially when it comes to electronics and screens and sensors and this. Oh, my God. I love that. You have no idea. So, yeah. But thank you very much, man. It was a pleasure talking to you. And then let's do that again. Let's do that again in a few years when I am further along and I have all these machines. And you can see that I wasn't talking shit, that I actually doing that. And then you can see those machines and we can talk about the next evolution after that.
Yep. Sounds great. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening at home. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, guys. Be well.